Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening.
And you are listening.
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
You're listening to the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Romoran, and Emil Nate checking in for our first podcast of 2024, aka Year 10 of the Wrestling Podcast. Happy New Year, boys.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone listening to this. Safe yung New Year niyo. I think we're all safe naman. Nobody reported anything. Nobody reported any missing fingers or...
buo pa naman yung mga daliri natin.
Yeah. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. And again, bagong simula, bagong start. So let's get it done with some wrestling talk this week.
Yeah, I was just gonna say na kung meron mang nagpaputok sa loob, sa September pa naman natin malalaman yung result, diba? So,
good luck na lang sa inyo.
Good luck na lang. All right, we have a lot to talk about as usual. We took the last couple of weeks off, not just for ourselves, but also for our friends over at the Pod Network who've been doing some stellar work for us, by the way. We also wanted to give them a break from their podcast duties, but it's great to be back in the saddle and to be podcasting with you guys again, or in your case, the listeners. So talk to you guys about some wrestling again. So let's get right to it and give you our weekend reactions. Let's lump Monday Night Raw in there as well, because we're recording this on Tuesday, January 2. And as a lot of people speculated and predicted, it was indeed Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson who showed up on Monday Night Raw, pero hindi lang naman siya yung former WWE champion na nagpakita. It was actually Rose Boy, Jinder Mahal. Yeah. And I gotta say, when I heard Jinder's music, I was laughing like hell. I loved it. I loved the troll job.
No, I mean, talagang may naniwala na siya yung big surprise. Like, I mean, Jinder's great and all. Like, he's pretty well liked backstage. But I think everyone knew na they weren't gonna, put him out as the biggest surprise to start the new year. Diba? So it's pretty funny. Other than that, he was pretty much right about the US as well. So only America would be booing someone who talks shit about America. But that was funny. It was funny. And I would say that I think the whole fake out was the highest point of that segment.
That doesn't say a lot if you say na the fake out was the best part. It means it was downhill from there.
Oh yes. We will talk about this. So okay, sige. So yes, again. The Rock showed up. Everyone lost it. People predicted it was gonna be The Rock. Medyo hindi siya kasing shocking kasi he appeared a few months ago on SmackDown, right?
Yeah, like Pat McAfee.
Yeah. So hindi na siya out of the window na The Rock can't ever come back to WWE and stuff like that. So we've established that. So The Rock comes out and then does his thing, does The Rock's thing. May halong American pride, US pride. What's the US equivalent of Pinoy pride? Basta US pride.
America.
Yeah. America. So he touched on that. Obviously, they designed the whole Jinder thing to get The Rock to be able to talk about uniting the US, diba? And then, as Jinder said, being all jingoistic about it. So it was super bad. But that wasn't even the bad part. The part where The Rock does The Rock things wasn't even up to, The Rock's usual standards. Diba? So parang ang dami ng hirit na parang sablay. Alam mo yun, like the asshole face. Like, who says that? Like that was such a weak Rock zinger, diba? Like yung toxic, something he called Jinder toxic. Like that's the best The Rock can do in 2024. Diba? Like, what happened to The Rock? Diba? Yung mga tao nagsasabing, oh, we had it so much better back in the day, diba? Back in 2000, diba? Back in the 2000s. You can say that about The Rock, who showed up tonight on, in the first night of the year of our Lord 2024. It wasn't good.
Let me ask you this, Ro. Kasi in this era of being politically correct, baka that's what The Rock has been. He's been distilled and
tatakbo siya.
Yeah.
I guess, pero I guess there was also a way to do it without making it seem lame, Parang people like to talk about, comedians self-censoring and all that. But this was the worst. Because you expect The Rock to come in and then usually do his thing. He threw on words like asshole, diba? So he was able to cuss a little bit. He could say bitch, he could say asshole. But when he said them, parang hindi siya pumatok diba? I mean, for me, hindi siya. I don't know if it's because I've heard people deliver better insults on the mic in wrestling. Like CM Punk could do something better than that. And the fact that The Rock has to rely on his usual juvenile gimmick and then not really deliver anything that I find funny, that's kind of telling. Even if you say that he's running for higher office, or he's a superstar for the kids as well as a movie star for the kids, it's just weird. It just felt off to me. It wasn't his best night.
Mm-hmm. It's actually messed up that we're talking about The Rock, a wrestler and actor, and him running in the office and it being like serious and anything. Now there's a legit possibility that it could happen. It's messed up. So earlier today, I kind of slept through the first hour of Raw, and then I woke up in the Discord, diba? I said, what in God's name is this Pro USA promo from The Rock? I say, I really don't know. Like, this is the first time I've seen a Rock doing this Pro USA promo na parang he's pandering to the crowd na parang tatakbo siya for presidency. Yun yung talagang lumabas dun sa promo na yun for me. Like, it's just weird. It's a very weird Rock promo and it makes me think, if he is really running for office, like, he can't bring any of this wrestling stuff in his campaign because it looks awkward as hell.
We were talking about this on the Discord chat with our patrons, and it was basically us flash forwarding to the plot of Young Rock. Like, if you ever watch Young Rock,
ni Emil.
Yeah.
Now you gotta watch it.
Spoiler alert, DJ actually runs for president, and that's the entire plot of Young Rock. That he's trying to make himself look as good as possible for that presidential run.
Tsaka you see there how he has an actual relationship with the Iron Sheik, as he mentioned in the promo. So a lot of that stuff I found out there. So he's not kidding about that. So go catch that, Emil. It's funny. It's funny for the idea that Rock was kind of legitimizing his potential plans for running for office.
Yeah, so since we're already talking about it, do you think he actually is running for president now that he's broken out his pro-America shtick?
You know what? At this point, if we had a WWE Hall of Famer became a president of the United States, then this might happen.
Yeah, that's true. We do have at least one Hall of Famer who became president. It all feels very Robin Padilla at this point. Kung yun yung platform niya, kunyari, na, jingoistic, US pride, then that's not a lot to stand out. Like, what is that even?
So this is much closer to FPJ than Robin Padilla, actually.
No, it's all the same. I think it's all the same.
Yeah.
Wala silang actual Ron Padilla FPJ. Nung panahon ni FPJ, natanda ko, you were a child back then.
Yeah, I was
back
6.
when FPJ was running. But I remember FPJ's campaign didn't really do much. It didn't really say much. He was just playing to emotion. But going back to The Rock, it's a thing to pop the crowd. But I guess I'm speaking for myself when I say this, I see right through this stuff, whatever The Rock does. Because it's not substantial in any way. It was only substantial because he was trying to rally, patriotic feelings, but that's
Against
about
Jinder,
it.
yeah.
Oh, against Jinder, diba? And we're so backwards. At least he did say na, we don't hate you because you're Indian or whatever. Diba? So that's a step in one direction, in the right direction, I guess. But other than that, wala. It's The Rock popping the crowd. And this is what I was saying when I was talking about LA Knight before. Na LA Knight has to avoid this stuff. Kasi if he's already channeling and evoking The Rock and Steve Austin, kailangan niyang iwasan yung part na mababaw lang talaga yung gimmick nila. When you really think about it, when you really think about it in a creative sense, like yes, it's fun. If you're part of that San Diego crowd, you're probably gonna be enjoying the fact that you were part of The Rock conducting your crowd chant like a maestro, diba? But this other than that, like ano pa masasabi mo? Like there wasn't any story here. I mean,
he did say at the end that he wanted to sit at the head of the table.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the biggest takeaway coming out of that, other than how weird that promo was.
They sa haba-haba ng ano, diba? Sa simbahan din ang tapos, diba? So, I wish we got that instead.
Yeah.
so many minutes spent on trashing Jinder and feeling the feelings about the US. All when we just needed that one money shot, diba? It's like the worst porn I've ever seen.
Yeah. So yun, he asked San Diego, saan ba tayo kakain? Am I gonna sit at a booth? Am I gonna sit at a bar? Or am I gonna sit at the head of the table? And right in that moment when he said those words, am I going to sit at the head of the table, I could just imagine Cody Rhodes becoming a meme yet again. Because once again, here's another roadblock to finishing his story. So what do you guys make of this?
Yeah, one thing. I thought that line was the cleverest thing he'd said in years. I don't know. I don't know. That's a nice setup.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way. Sorry, Emil, go ahead about Cody.
I think it's way too early to count Cody out. Especially with the rumors that the city of Perth really wants The Rock to appear at the chamber. So possibly they would get that out of the way and then continue with the Cody story. Pero things can change. It's way too early for things to say. So I just hope they do right by Cody this time. Yun lang yung masasabi ko.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think Triple H is at a point then, after almost a year, diba? I think he's at a point na he knows he has to deliver on the promise that they had. I think it's also worth noting that Australia did ask for The Rock. Hindi naman yun sasama sa plano kung, I guess it was the leverage that they had in allowing WWE to have a big PLE there in Perth, right? So we're doing this now because they want that for their show. So I think in the end, and this is me pinning all my benefits of the doubt to Triple H here. I think Hunter knows that if he doesn't deliver the story that he promised a year ago, the honeymoon will really be over. And sure, you can recover from that, pero mas maraming masasaktan. You lose so much more. He will lose so much more if he doesn't do it now.
Yeah, so now that you mentioned it, The Rock versus Roman Reigns looks like it could be the main event for Elimination Chamber. It gives Roman something to do in Perth. Isn't there a part of you na medyo nanghihinayang na after all of these years na sinasabi ng mga tao sa internet or sa dirt sheets na, Rock versus Roman has to be a WrestleMania moment na we're not even gonna get it at a WrestleMania?
A little bit. In a vacuum, yes, I could say na, because WrestleMania is all about the biggest matches that you can book, and there's possibly no match as big as you can book as The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Literally a movie star, a global star like The Rock going up against your biggest current star, But again, with context kasi, with everything that is going on, I'm pretty much okay with it not being in a Mania, especially with the current setup that we have, and then the things na alam natin na mangyayari in the future, I'm kind of okay with it. Pero I can see why some people could think na manghihinayang sila na the match will happen but not at Mania. It's before Mania. So I can see how people can have feelings about it.
Yeah, tawag doon. the thing is, as if you're here at this point, you would probably have observed that I'm not a big Rock fan, and to me, this isn't really something that shivers my timbers, if you will. Hindi. It's nice on paper, but I'm not really looking forward to it because I've seen the last dream match The Rock was in about 10 years ago. That happened thrice, or technically twice, and it wasn't anything nice to write home about. People look back on it fondly because The Rock was fun and entertaining during the build, but during the match, people were poo-pooing all over it. I don't know if you guys remember, but those matches were really meh. I mean, they were okay. They were just two guys playing the hits, diba? And people maybe look back on it. They look back on it fondly because it's two big stars that we have now, and two big stars you don't see anymore. But it's not really something nice on paper. So I'm not excited about it. And then two, I'm gonna quote Shoemaker here: "If you have the match, do the match, diba? Why wait? Because waiting would complicate things. It could complicate things. Malay mo magkaroon ng bagong project si Dwayne, diba? He might accept something and not be able to make it for WrestleMania 40 in April. So if he's free now, if he's able to do the match now, wherever it is, even if it's not WrestleMania, do the match. You have the match. And it's also good because if you have the match, it's likely that you'll get the best ever gate that you'll draw in Australia, in Perth, diba? And then that will pay dividends in the long term. You'll do business well for Australia, for Perth, and then you'll do good business for the boys and girls, diba? So again, it's going back to striking while the iron is hot, and then striking to make the iron hot. So who cares about WrestleMania? Just do the match.
I'm just excited for the idea of Rock versus Roman just because of the story, diba, na the head of the table. And it's something that Roman has been holding over everyone's head for such a long time. And marami ring nagsasabi na, what if The Rock gets involved? Ito na, finally, we're getting it. Diba? The Rock finally acknowledges na Roman has been calling himself the head of the table of their family for such a long time. So chance na ni Rock to actually bite back and stake his claim to being head of the table. So I'm excited for how they're going to build to this, whether it's going to be at the Rumble or at Elimination Chamber. I'm hoping it's going to be at Elimination Chamber because it's this is one of those events in wrestling fandom or wrestling canon na I would like to happen during our time zone. Yung tipong lahat tayo nasa ulirat, lahat tayo nakapagkape na and everything, as in gabi siya, hindi yung tipong gigising tayo ng sobrang aga just to watch this PLE really build up to a head, right? So this is us, I guess, collectively manifesting that this is the Elimination Chamber match for Roman and that Cody still gets to finish his story at WrestleMania in Philly.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's a safe bet it's a safe bet for that to happen. Because get your jokes out about Cody not finishing the story. But I think they had already planned for this. Like maybe they might have seen that The Rock would come back somehow. I think the whole Perth thing just kind of forced their hand a little bit. But if that was the best way to get to Rock versus Roman, because you honestly don't know when it's ever going to happen until this happened, diba? Then, we're all for it, diba? Who knows? Maybe some of us in the Philippines would fly over to Perth to watch
it. Tickets pa.
Yeah, who may tickets pa. I mean, then that would be good business for all of them in the region. They would see that if you build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually checking now if you can still buy tickets. But as I do this, any last thoughts on The Rock and his appearance and everything that he brought to Raw today?
I almost forgot about the whole head of the table thing. But sana yun lang yung sinabi niya. I mean, we could have done without the whole gender thing. It's nice to see gender. It's actually really good to say he stepped up and had a nice promo. Bagay talaga siya as a heel manager, but we could have cut the fat. But with Rock, there's always fat. Kaya notoriously overtime siya ng panahon.
Kanina rin naman, diba? Like,
Yeah.
that segment took
Oh,
like
yeah.
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it is 20.
Then again,
They-
pambawi siya because Giovanni Vinci got injured, diba? So, na-stop yung match nila,
Yeah.
Jay and Kofi. So, I guess it kind of balances out. All right, last note here. Marami pang tickets for Elimination Chamber in Perth. I'm on Ticketmaster sa Australia right now. Marami pa. So, if you want to get your tickets now, go right ahead. That's all we'll say about that. All right, let's cross over to AEW and talk about World's End because that happened on New Year's Eve Manila time. Zoom out muna tayo. Big thoughts coming out of World's End. What a finale, for AEW in the best and worst way.
Yeah. Zoom out thoughts. This pay-per-view should not have happened the way it did. It was a 3-match show, and I think that was the best time to copy. I know, TK is allergic to copying things that WWE does, but inadvertently he does them. Because some things you just have to repeat in the wrestling business. Like there's no choice but to do things that have been established by the biggest companies in the world, the most successful companies in the world. And this was one of those times that you should have cut down the show to 5 matches. Like the 3 big matches that we had in the second hour, the second half, the last 2 hours, and yung dalawang women's matches. That's it. That's what you needed. That's all you needed. And we could have happily ended the year with that. Yun lang, sayang lang. So there was so much to go through. It was okay, but as a lot of people mentioned, it should have been for Dynamite and Collision of this week. And wala, medyo nagsayang tayo ng umaga.
One of my main criticisms with AEW pay-per-views is too many matches and too long. This one wasn't too long, but I thought the first half of the show, again, most of those matches should have been saved for a Dynamite or a Collision. Daming multi-man, daming fillers. But again, the second half really made up for the lackluster first half of the show. Those the last 3 matches on the card all delivered. Like really, I had low expectations with this pay-per-view, but after those last 3 matches, I was okay. This was a good end to the year for AEW.
I think there's a difference though between those matches should have been cut out and put on Dynamite and Collision versus those matches in the first half. We didn't need them, but the second half made up for it. You get what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, where are we here? Are we saying na parang, we should have just fast forwarded to the final 3 matches, or na, yeah, we're okay with getting the whole show fat and all?
No. We should have fast forwarded to the last half. That's what I'm saying. We didn't need them on the show. They should have been on TV because they would have made for great TV matches. And I guess having them on a different day, they wouldn't have. Some of them wouldn't have been as bad as they were. Not all, but some of them did not work. And I wanted them to cut down the fat. Cut down the fat talaga. We don't need bloated pay-per-views, and Triple H is the best example of this because his guys aren't. Yeah, some people don't get pay-per-view paydays, but you're not as run down naman, diba? So I think that's the best trade-off. Unless super garapal ka, you want everything, you want all the time.
Are we not naming the fat out of fear of like repercussions
on AEW?
Yeah.
No, I said
from the show.
Yeah. I said everything that wasn't the last 3 matches. That's what I didn't want to see on the show.
For me, especially.
Sorry. Last 3 matches and then the women's matches para may balance.
Especially for me, the Swerve Dustin match. They could have just had the segment where Swerve World, yung, di ba, inano siya sa yung cinder blocks, yung hollow blocks ba yan?
Yeah.
They could have ended it right there. But they gave Dustin some offense, and you could have established that, okay, Swerve is this really great heel, this dastardly heel who did this to Dustin. And they could have ended right there. Kasi di naman natuloy yung match eh. So, for ano pa to? For what? Diba?
You know why? Kasi Tony Khan hates squashes, especially on pay-per-views. Kasi internet fans hate squashes. especially on pay-per-views. So because he is also of the internet fan persuasion, not because he listens to them, but because he grew up that way as well. So he thinks the same way. He thinks that it would be a big injustice or parang masasayang ka for everyone involved, diba? Especially for Swerve if he doesn't get to do a nice, decently long pay-per-view match on a big show that will close the year. So yeah, they gave him a match, even though it doesn't make sense that Swerve doesn't immediately kill Dustin Rhodes with his attack, his pre-match attack. So yeah, that's the reason why.
All right, so World's End ends with Samoa Joe winning the AEW World Championship and the Devil finally being revealed. And I gotta say, for all of the criticisms we've levied towards this whole storyline and the focus being away from the world title, I was actually sports entertained by the entire thing. And I like the reveal. I like how it all went back to Adam Cole and to Roderick Strong and the Kingdom, and somehow they were able to incorporate Wardlow into this as well, because Wardlow has been hinting for months na he was gonna go after MJF. Diba? He was actually calling out MJF, and for him to naturally slide right in here to whatever this is, whether it's still the Kingdom or whether it's Adam Cole and his little club of whatever. I like how it all went down. How they turned off the lights, then nung nabuhay ulit yung ilaw, nakaupo na si Adam Cole as if he'd been pulling the strings all along. The only thing for me na medyo sablay is the fact na Adam Cole is injured. And wala tayong magagawa about that. It was the stupidity of the elevated set during the Arthur Ashe show. Yep. So parang they kind of booked themselves into that corner. But everything else, I liked it.
They stuck the landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stuck the landing. That's for sure.
I see a lot of people hating on it. Like,
why?
Because it's predictable though.
No, it's predictable, and they fantasy booked themselves in a corner where they convinced themselves that it had to be someone crazy, someone like Britt or Roddy, even, or Dolph Ziggler. That's what the big theory I saw was Dolph Ziggler, because big release, and they convinced themselves of that and kind of took themselves out of the story that they were telling. And I get personal preferences. You want it to be unpredictable, but if it were anyone unpredictable, it would be nice, yes, pero
it wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't have made as much sense as it were Adam Cole.
Yeah.
The Adam Cole thing was a story they've been telling all along. It only didn't seem that way because Cole got injured. And how do you lead? How do you become the leader of a faction, of a wrestling faction, if you're injured? How do you chase after a championship if you're injured? And you just can't. So you just settle for ruining the life of the guy who beat you. You pretend to be his best friend. You convince him that you're not going to turn on him. And then you turn on him. And it's so great. It's so simple. And people want it to be complicated. People want it to be as different as possible, because fuck predictability, diba? So it's really nice, and I feel like if you didn't like it, yes, personal preference, but also you weren't paying attention to the whole scope of the story that they were trying to tell.
Yeah, same thing. I knew I have a chat on this storyline just because it took them this long to the reveal. Yun lang yung, but again, because it's Cole and because he got injured, okay, makes sense. Diba? So for a lot of people, just because something is predictable doesn't mean it's not good. Yeah. But if you follow the entire story, it makes sense that it's Adam Cole who's the devil. And there's no one else that would have made sense kung sila yung devil. See, this spot was literally created for Adam Cole. So I said they stuck the landing, and they did, because it was getting to a point where people were losing interest in the story. Pero I'm glad that they finally did the reveal, and it was the right guy that they revealed as the devil.
Magaling yung pagsulat nila. Magaling yung pag-acting ni Adam Cole. They really nailed how he convinced Max even, and then Max was kind of stupid to trust him. And it's a really nice story. Like Max lets down his guard for the first time, and then we find out why he keeps his guards up, diba? Because people like Adam Cole would take advantage of him, diba? And pretend to be his best friend. And that's so good. And people don't understand that. It just is.
Yun,
I'm sorry.
karma din yun ni MJF for what he'd done to the Inner Circle, diba? To Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah. And Wardlow.
And Wardlow, diba? For being a big asshole in AEW for the last 5 years. So I like how it came together. I guess my question is, which is something you alluded to kanina, Ro, is what's the point though for an Adam Cole to go after an MJF when you can't be the champion right now?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. I have actually answered this question to someone else. Because people do ask that question. It makes sense. Why is it him if he can't wrestle physically? Because he wanted to. Because he is the devil. He is now the devil. MJF is no longer the devil. Adam Cole's the devil. And the devil does whatever he wants. And Adam Cole, I guess, he had his one bad day in All In. Diba? When he lost the championship shot, and then he mentally went downhill from there. He wanted to ruin MJF's life. Maybe he just wanted to destroy everything that he stood for. Maybe that's it. Diba? Adam Cole, I trust him to play this particular part and to explain that and make it believable. Because you just want to fuck somebody up, diba? Who cares? I mean, you can't be champion anymore, so why not just fuck somebody up? Fuck him up, diba? He got injured because he was trying to come save MJF. So that's even a bigger reason, even more of a reason for him to fuck MJF's life even further.
Yeah, so kasalanan ni MJF na si Adam Cole in the first place.
Yep.
And all of this overshadows the fact that there are now two Samoan guys named Joe who are world champions of the two biggest promotions in the world. Congratulations to Samoa Joe, by the way. Very much
Which Samoa Joe? Deserve. Yeah.
Oh,
right,
I'm so happy. I'm so happy for him that he finally gets to be world champion on this stage. Yeah, he got to do it in TNA or Impact. Pero iba pa rin.
Iba naman yung TNA. They weren't even number 2 when they were trying to be number 2. I mean, they were only number 2 by default, but they weren't really number 2.
Yeah, whereas si Joe actually gets to do it on AEW. Diba? I really feel like sobrang missed opportunity na Joe never got to be WWE champion or Universal champion. So I guess this is the wrestling god's way of making it up to Samoa Joe. And I like it. I dig Joe as champion for however long this title reign is going to last.
And to think that years ago the WWE seemed to not see any in-ring future for Joe, that they put him in the commentary table. So I thought, or people thought that was going to be it for his in-ring career, but he had a renaissance in the last couple of years here in AEW, and now it all culminated with him winning the AEW World Championship. So what a story for Samoa Joe.
Yeah, deserve niya. I think malas lang talaga sa WWE. Triple H signed him, and then he had to work for Vince. And we all know how Vince feels about guys who aren't in the perfect bodybuilding shape, diba? I feel like guys like Kevin Owens and Bray Wyatt, medyo exception to his rule. But Samoa Joe, Joe is proud about being a big boy, not being a body guy. He can back it up in the ring with his mic work and his fighting intensity, diba? But sometimes that's not enough for Vince. And then he also got hurt a lot nung WWE. So I think malas lang talaga all around. Like if he were to come back under Triple H, he probably would have gotten the same chance. Assuming he could wait out yung Reigns than Roman and Seth, right? But I think Joe was also in the right place at the right time. Cole getting injured also was a big help for him. And yung contract status with the MJF, which we still don't know about. We don't have any new updates on. Also really helped. So sometimes it just takes a perfect storm of circumstances to get to where you need to go, where you want to go.
Yeah. So we'll see kung ano yung magiging feud ni Samoa Joe heading into Revolution, which I believe is still the next big pay-per-view. So it's another couple of months before AEW goes on pay-per-view again. In the meantime, we have another big pay-per-view. Wala pa tayo sa picks of the week because there's so much that we missed out on during the holiday break. So let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom 18. And we don't talk about New Japan a whole lot on this show just because there's so much wrestling going around. But we always have to make time for the annual January show of New Japan, their equivalent of WrestleMania, which is Wrestle Kingdom 18 for this year. For the uninitiated, it happens every January 4, regardless of whatever day that date falls on. So this year, it's going to be on Thursday. At dahil Thursday tayo nagla-live stream for this week, we're going to move the stream to Friday, January 5. Just to accommodate Wrestle Kingdom 18. We're going to be having a watch party over on the Discord channel. So if you want to be part of that, then go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as about 250 to 260 pesos a month. We're going to be having that live watch party of Wrestle Kingdom 18. All right. The big matches for Wrestle Kingdom 18, I would say, are the last three matches.
Yeah.
So you have the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship main event between Sanada, he's the defending champion, taking on his former stablemate from LIJ, Tetsuya Naito. You also have and I really love this, the special singles match. Like every year, I cannot get over how they call it a special singles match between Kazuchika Okada and Bryan Danielson. So it's Okada, Danielson 2. And then the three-way match for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship between Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and David Finlay. So those are the three, I would say, casual friendly matches for to hook people in case you've never heard of New Japan, you've never seen New Japan, or have never seen Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I almost forgot actually that the BCC boys were here. Sayang sana kinumpleto na nila. But really good stuff. Yuta did Best of the Super Juniors last year. Claudio hasn't been here yet, I think. Not since the early 2010s, I believe. But it's pretty good. This is the last three are gonna hit, I believe. I feel.
Yep. Yeah, me too. A lot of hype coming into Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, just the Bryan Okada match alone, dami nang nahook doon from the Western audience. So that is the most anticipated rematch from Forbidden Door last June. So this is something to watch out for on Thursday.
Yeah, I think yung meta narrative that people are watching out for is what happens to Okada after Wrestle Kingdom 18. Does he go to AEW? Does he go to WWE? And with that comes the expectation that Okada's probably going out on his back here.
Sana. It's weird because the other guy who would beat him is not of NJPW. So I don't know who serves. I don't know who it serves rather if he goes out on his back. So
then again, traditionally, at least from the last decade, nanonood tayo ng Wrestle Kingdom, just because outsider ka doesn't mean na matik talo ka na. Look at Chris Jericho nung salta siya.
Yeah. I guess
that's true.
Yeah.
So it's just cool seeing Okada and Danielson going at it again. The fact that Bryan Danielson finally gets to have this dream opportunity to be part of Wrestle Kingdom. So I'm really happy for the American Dragon right here. Do you guys want to do predictions at least for the big three matches?
Sure.
But everything else, it's like okay, whatever. Which is no offense to New Japan or like these people. It's just that we just can't keep track of everything else going on here. So let's predict the big three matches. The IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is taking the place of what used to be the Intercontinental Championship.
No, it's taking the place of the United States Championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
The story here is that Finlay broke the old US Championship belt and completely destroyed it. And kasi Ospreay renamed it to the UK Championship belt. And then I think Finlay won it, and then he destroyed it. And and then they made a new championship, and this is it. I think it's gonna be the second tier. It probably will take the place of the void that was left by the Intercontinental Championship when it was unified. So it's obviously going to be the second tier championship for real. Kasi hindi na landlocked yung US Championship nila.
Yeah. I'm just glad now we finally get a 1A to the 1 of the world title again, kind of like it was in the previous decade. No? So who do you guys think is winning here? Ospreay, Finlay, or Mox?
NJPW's way of booking things. I'm predicting David Finlay because they're not gonna give the title to an outsider. I know, Stan, you mentioned earlier,
Mox did take the US championship for a while.
no,
nadali
especially
pa ng
no,
COVID.
no, because this is the first reign, so they need to
So?
establish this. So I think they're gonna give it to the NJPW guy. As much as I hate, na I hate the inclusion of David Finlay in this match. I thought it should have been just a one-on-one between Osprey and Moxley, but because Osprey is leaving, so they need to have one of their guys in. So again, history suggests now they're gonna give it to the NJPW guy. So I'm gonna predict David Finlay.
I'm gonna predict Osprey to win this. Osprey is leaving, yes, but he's not gone from NJPW forever. And I think they still want to have him appear. And I think having the championship is the best way for him to keep appearing. I think yung angle was really just replace the championship that was not working for them, instead of kicking someone else or sending someone off. So I think Finlay is here to eat the pin and not have Moxley lose. It's Osprey, and if it's not Osprey, it's Moxley, because he was a former IWGP champion as well.
Yeah, remember na Osprey's like such a super baby face in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he is.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird, but we get to see that on Thursday. All right, ito, Okada Danielson too. Okada won the first one ng Forbidden Door, di ba?
No,
Yes.
it was Daniel. Oh yeah. No,
Wait,
Danielson.
No, it was Danielson. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Forbidden
he
Door.
nag-tap out si Okada kay
Yeah,
Danielson. Yeah.
Okay. My bad. So, does Okada tie things up here? Or if Okada's on his way out na nga talaga, it has to be Danielson. So, Danielson sweeps it here at 2-0.
It's simple lang. Okada will win this match to
Okay.
get even.
If Okada goes to AEW, then Danielson wins, I think, because they can still have Okada beat him in a second rematch, diba? But if not, if he's going to WWE, I feel like Okada is winning. Kasi you do have to get your win back, and even if it doesn't quite make sense on its face, I would still say that it's not a bad move. Kasi you're sending off your guy in an honorable way. He did serve you. He did save the company for the past decade, diba? So let's honor the guy and keep his memory. Leave the memories alone.
Yeah, AJ Styles actually won in his final Wrestle Kingdom match.
Yeah, diba?
So let's remember that. Back in 2016, he beat Nakamura.
No.
Granted, Nakamura was also on his way out, but AJ Styles got to put over Kenny and the Bullet Club when they turned on him at New Year's Dash.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is another one of those things where anything can happen. Di pa rin natin alam. All right.
Yeah.
Let's close it out with Sanada versus Tetsuya Naito.
This is Naito's Drew McIntyre moment. Naito is the Drew McIntyre of NJPW in that he won the big championship during the COVID pandemic. So halos walang tao or konti lang yung tao, and he didn't get the big reaction that he wanted, he deserved, or many people felt that he deserved, which is basically the same story as Drew McIntyre right now. So I feel like they owe it to him. And while Sanada is great, iba pa rin yung dating ni Naito. He's still pretty popular. He's still pretty over, even though he's not at the peak of his popularity. And Sanada will always, get the championship back. He's still pretty young, still pretty good, and so he's still in pretty good physical condition. So I feel like they're gonna give Naito the actual thank you championship that he deserves.
Same thing here. Naito, I will root for Naito as a big Naito fan. It was ang hiling ko lang is he will get to do his roll call without someone beating him up at the end of Wrestle Kingdom, just like Kenta did few years ago, which I'm still mad at. And they did that, kasi give the guy his moment. Bakit kailangan pa ng gayon, di ba? Like, after all the years of him losing in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, they can't give the guy a moment to finish his roll call. So yun lang. Just give him his flowers. Just give him his moment. Kasi Naito, honestly, I don't expect much. I don't expect a lot of years left in Naito. I mean, his body's beaten up. He is wrestled the same style that he's been wrestling for almost 15 years now. So I think he's at the point of his career na malapit, I think malapit na siyang pumunta doon sa territory nila Tanahashi na they're not the main acts anymore, but they're still wrestling. So as much as they can, they should have Naito have his run here. So I'll go with Naito.
All right. So for those, again, who are interested in Wrestle Kingdom, finding a way to check it out, you can be part of our virtual watch parties, our Wrestling Podcast Discord, patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as 250 to 260 pesos a month. The show starts, 3:30 p.m. Manila time? Tama ba?
Yes. No, 2:30 p.m. Manila time.
Yeah, that's if you want to catch
Sorry. 3:30 p.m. Manila time because the main show starts at 4:30 in Japan. So tama. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
So that includes yung New Japan Runbo or the New Japan Rumble, if you want to call it that, and all the other undercard matches. I believe our guy Robbie Eagles is not on the card this year.
He is not. Medyo manipis. Iba yung pinupush nila for the junior heavyweight singles and tag team championships.
Yeah. So if you want some representation, you get TJP. He's there challenging for the
junior heavyweight.
Junior heavyweight tag team championship match. Jeff Cobb, wala rin, diba?
Yeah.
Not on the card this year. Yeah. So there, that's Wrestle Kingdom 18, New Japan Pro Wrestling's equivalent of WrestleMania, happening on Thursday, Manila time. We'll take a break. That was a lot. When we come back, we'll get through our picks of the week. Let's see if we can speed run this. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts right here on the Pod Network. And we're back with our picks of the week. We will start with Chino's, and yung kanya is this video that's been going around on the internet featuring the AEW women's division doing the "I'm a wrestler, but blah, blah, blah." So if you're not aware of this meme or this trend that's been going around on Reels and on TikTok, it's basically people who fall under a particular category and either making fun of the stereotypes or actually telling you about the people that fall under said category. So una ko siya napansin a few weeks ago when I saw the reality TV stars I follow from Survivor and The Amazing Race, and then they were saying, "Oh, I'm a reality TV star, blah, blah, blah." So I guess it was a matter of time until someone did that for wrestling. And for wrestling, yun nga, it features the AEW women's division between Saraya and Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Marina Shafir, Nyla Rose, Aubrey Edwards. So yun, sila.
Riho.
And Timeless Tony Storm.
Riho.
Riho had a cameo in which she did not speak. So yun, Chino says it was a funny and self-deprecating look into how the public looks at female wrestlers, and he says it's very glaring, especially considering it some current conversations and allegations going around surrounding the AEW locker room once again.
It was funny, but it was also really resonant. I mean, at first it feels lighthearted and entertaining, but when you really think about it, if you are able to get past the funny part of it, it really reveals how, especially yung kay Chris na part, yung dulo, it really sold everything on the nose about. Like, if you didn't get it after that, then you're kind of dense, right? But she said that everyone still hates them, even though they try so hard and they try so hard to improve, diba? For whatever reason, diba? Whether it's because they're being compared to the men unfavorably, or whether because you don't really want to see women succeed, no matter what you say. It's really, really good because it should make you feel uncomfortable. It's one of those things that if you are guilty of putting the women second, if you don't value them as much as the male wrestlers, or if you feel that they're just eye candy for your own perverse amusement, then it should make you feel uncomfortable. Whether or not you feel na tama yung sinasabi nila or mali, kasi I'm not like that. But I'm not one of those guys that doesn't value the women wrestlers. It is a disarming way to tell some pretty uncomfortable truths about women in the wrestling industry. So some of it you can apply to the local industry, whether you're a man or a woman. Syempre, there are people that still hate local wrestling, or don't like or look down on local wrestlers, no matter how hard they try. But for the most part, it really is about the women, diba? About how some people around them are perverts, about how some of it is funny, like body parts coming in close contact, diba? So a lot of it is it's really really good, and I hope that it's something that a lot of people, a lot of fans, every fan in the world who is on the internet, they need to see this, because if you feel offended by it, then you should be offended by it.
Agreeing with everything Rose said with regards to this video. Yes, it's funny, but it has a much deeper meaning than a lot of people may think.
All I'm gonna say is, well, I love the idea that the women themselves created this. It's since been taken down from whoever originally posted it.
Oh,
So
man.
we can't find the original source. I will add na I wish there was more backing from AEW in itself to feature the women more. Because we can talk about this na parang, yeah, you're right. The women don't get the respect that they deserve. But where's the political will to book them in more than one token women's match / segment on an episode of Dynamite, Collision, or Rampage?
To be clear, I don't actually know if it's taken down. I don't know that. I don't know who posted it at first. Nobody knows if it's getting to AEW or AEW asked them to put it down. I haven't seen any stories or word on it.
Right. We're not saying that.
Yeah, I've seen other people share it. That's how I saw it. So I can't trace it to who posted it. I have a feeling it was Soraya, because Soraya featured in a lot of the skits. So I can't tell. We're not saying that, but I will agree that if it is true, especially the last part in Chris Statlander, medyo huli si Tony Khan doon. He knows he hasn't been doing enough. And if he did ask them to take it down, then it is kind of telling.
Mm-hmm. All right. Again, that's all we're going to say about that. And if anyone's trying to bait us into talking about yung allegations that are being talked about on Twitter, go to Twitter. If you want to discuss that stuff, you do it. Because we don't know all the facts.
Yeah.
We're not going to take part in he said, she said stuff unless may conclusive reporting and evidence na nandyan na, di ba?
Yeah.
So if you want to take part of that discourse, you do it. I don't care. All right. Let's go to yung picks ni na Rowan and Emil. Both of them are from MWF Noche Buena. We're going to start with Rowan, who picked the all-women's four-way match between Super P, Joya, Chelsea Marie, and Patricia Ligaya. So Rowan said he felt that the match was special and that he was happy for the women who performed in a main event caliber match. And he felt like they really pushed themselves to the limit and gave everything to it. Sabi niya, everyone had their moment to shine, and for him, Joya was the MVP for carrying the match. And he also loved the pre-match video package and the post-match promo that made him think that that MWF was gonna reveal na, oh, hey, here's the MWF Women's Championship. Pero wala pala. What he did realize, though, is that the match put over the women's boot camp and the MWF factory, with Super P telling the female fans what Crystal once told her, na, come train with us.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't say anything about this.
I'll speak on behalf of Rowan here. It was a fun match. Because first of all, it's a multi-man. And the thing with MWF kasi is matches like these stand out because usually yung Manila rules, it's the same, 3 points hanggang 5 points. But with this one, it's like, it's a crash derby. A lot they went in, they got their stuff in, and a lot of the spots really popped the crowd. It was a really fun match, and it was something that I am happy that I was there in attendance for it, because I think this is a landmark match for MWF. Na finally they have it's a small division, but it's somehow there's a resemblance now of a division in there. And again, tama si Ron when he said na it's pretty much a promotion for the boot camp to invite more women to train with them, and para din to show people na, hey, women can also do the things that men does in the ring. So it was a fun match. I'm glad that they also put it in the prime spot on the card, second to the last. So it was everyone, I think, in the venue enjoyed it as well. So it was a fun match.
In true analyst form, I will provide a little bit of insight on this. Okay. One, this is the closest that we have come in the entire 10-year run of this phase of Philippine wrestling history. This is the closest we have come to having an actual women's division. Like, this is the most I believe this is the most active female wrestlers that we have had in one company. Could be wrong, but this is, really, really close. Otherwise, because we've had to import people, we've had to import women.
No, we had 4 women nung homecoming. Ganun din. We
Yeah,
had
but
4 way, diba?
Yeah, but we had here we have 5 with Crystal, diba?
Right. We had a 5th with Crystal as well, no homecoming.
Yeah, but she had I know. Well, okay, sure. But right now, right now, this is the closest thing to an actual women's division. And the boot camp was promoted. The factory was promoted because we do need people. We do need these people. If you want a women's championship, we do need more women. It can't be right now. It can't be 4 people.
Yeah, 4 people does not a division make.
Yeah.
Not yet.
What I want to happen is for one of those women in attendance to actually make it to the roster, and when he's challenging for the championship or whatever, my clip of this woman cheering during this all-women's 4-way match from Noche Buena 2023. The same way that WWE is able to somehow find Kevin Owens in the crowd at WrestleMania 18 at the Sky Dome. So, yun ang gusto kong mangyari.
Yeah.
I hope we get that someday,
One day. All right, Emil, talk about your pick from Noche Buena.
All right, so my pick from Noche Buena, it aired actually last week, so this is part of that pick of our pick.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's the main event, the Matira Matibay elimination match, featuring the MWF All Stars, Fabio Makisig, Nigel San Jose, Danny Zamora, and Robin Sane against Oro Plata Mata, JDL, Kurt Jimenez, Main Max, and David Ravena. So again, this probably was the biggest match in MWF history, I think, up until this point, because this is a conclusion of a almost year plus long story of Fabio and JDL for that title, no? And again, a lot of unpredictability coming into that match. Yung twist talaga na yung dalawang matitira will fight for the championship really added to it. Because if it's just an ordinary elimination match, okay, pero like that twist really added to it. And I'm glad na yung part of the elimination match was kind of short, and the real main event of it was the match between Main Max and JDL. Although I will comment a couple of things about it. The first one is yung turn ni Danny was kind of weird, because after that, for a while, the crowd was kind of sat on their hands because it was heel versus heel, because someone just turned heel and you had the heel faction. So like there was a point where I don't know who I'm rooting for, because this guy was an asshole for turning on his mentor, and then you got the other side of the heels, diba? And second, ito yung sa final cut na, they didn't show yung pagpull ni Stan kay referee, and the expression that Stan has on his face of parang may regret, because Main Max is also his guy, but when it comes down to it, he picks JDL, and again, that was the crowd ate that all up that in that main event. So I love that match. Love everything, and I think I already said this to you, Ro. Yung commentary, like nung Noche Buena, I was at a spot where I can hear you scream. I can hear you like just rooting for Main Max, and yung expectations ko sa final cut. It was the commentary delivered, the match delivered, everyone delivered. You Stan delivered on that incredible heel performance there. So yeah, congratulations. And again, this was a conclusion of a year-long storyline. They actually pulled it off. And now heading into 2024, there's a new story now in there. And they made, y'all made Max probably the most sympathetic babyface in MWF for the next year. So may may groundworks na done for the next year or so.
All right. Thanks, Emil. Yeah, we can't really say anything else.
You can't say anything about that. That's why, I was giving you all props,
Ito, if you want to watch the match, it's available on
YouTube
the MWF YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
If you want to hear everything, and if you want to also not see what I did when the referee got pulled out, go to the YouTube channel to not see it. I don't know, man. Yun na nga lang yung yun na nga lang yung ambag ko eh.
Yeah, because that was a very important part of the match.
I think
yung pag-pull out mo kay referee eh.
I feel na it wasn't it was failed to be caught on camera, diba? I think hindi lang talaga nakuha. So I think malas lang na hindi siya umabot dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It do be like that.
Yeah.
It do be like that sometimes. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Rose pick from Dynamite.
I'll keep it short because the last pick is going to be about this as well. But it was Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. This was historic because it was Eddie's first career win against Bryan Danielson. Like, he had never beaten Bryan Danielson before this. And not only was it his ticket to the finals ng Continental Classic, but it was that historic career moment for him. And he was on a tear here. I certainly didn't think that he was going to make it all the way to the result, to the final result, which we'll talk about in a bit. And I think everyone did a good job of setting the table to make Eddie look like a legit underdog. Na talagang hindi mo mamalayan na mananalo siya. And that's the beauty of these tournaments, of these sports-like tournaments, that you can actually set up the story in such a way that the journey is believable, and that makes in turn the result really believable. Diba? It helped that the news was put out there that Bryan wanted this tournament to happen because he wanted to be in the G1. Then you have Swerve is the favorite, or is one of the favorites. Bryan was also one of the favorites because it was his type of match. He asked for it, and again, you go up to Moxley as well, and no slouch as well. So where does that leave Eddie Kingston? He was the NJPW Strong Openweight and the Ring of Honor World Champion going in, but in against a stacked field like that, none of those two championships matter because it's the best of the best, or most of the best in AEW. Diba? So really, really great stuff. And Eddie wrestled his ass off to make his path to the finals believable. So that's what I really loved about this.
I loved Bryan being the big heel here, even though Bryan isn't generally a heel na rin kasi BCC are, they just are, diba? They're like Minoru Suzuki in New Japan. They just are. Bryan just being very condescending towards Eddie Kingston.
Because may personal history siya. Yeah.
Oh, but just nailing that in. You're a bum, and trying to injure Eddie, to really maim him and say na you're the king of the bums. Ganyan. Sobrang ganda because it really made Kingston such an underdog against Bryan, as if he weren't an underdog, enough of an underdog already, diba? So ang gandang setup to Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley at World's End, which is my pick of the week. But before we get there, sasabihin ko lang na sobrang naging poetic din yung journey ni Eddie Kingston because it's like the BCC boys were the big bosses he had to defeat. Yeah. He had Claudio first, and then he had Bryan right in the semis, and then he had Mox in the finals. So ang ganda ng journey. Which really caps off the Eddie Kingston story in the Continental Classic. And I think all of us here had counted Eddie Kingston out, especially after the first couple of losses. Okay, para siyang gago.
Yeah, he sold it.
Titles on the line, diba? He'll come out looking like an idiot. And then he comes out and gets on a winning streak, gets to close out the year with wins, diba? Just like the Detroit Pistons did. Except Eddie Kingston actually achieved something, which is to be the Triple Crown champion. And that match with Mox, after the slog, which has been the first couple of hours of World's End, nagising ako with Kingston versus Moxley because of how hard they hit. They finally got to have that Japan style match. Diba? Yeah. Parang Mox was saying, you didn't give me your best last time, and Kingston finally showed Mox na I can hang with you and I can beat you. And then the way that he defeated Mox, while decisive, wasn't one of those yung parang I put you down with my finisher. Diba? It was one of those parang, puta pa na si Eddie Kingston. So that was also nice kasi there is still that bit of Eddie Kingston got lucky. Like for 3 seconds, he was the better wrestler. And diba, in the narrative that we're trying to tell here, sometimes that's all it takes. That's all that matters. So I'm really happy for Kingston for overcoming the whole king of the bums shtick and getting to hold on to his life's work and to be the Triple Crown champion that he'd always looked up to in. Was that Misawa or Kobashi? Na parang
Kawada. Kawada and Misawa.
Yeah, those are his heroes.
Yeah, diba? To finally be like his heroes from all Japan and to be a Triple Crown himself in America, that's a huge deal. And I'm really happy for the Mad King here.
It's funny, sorry, real quick, Emil. It's funny that Kingston's main bread and butter now, his biggest stories are people doubting him because he doesn't look like your typical champion. Diba? So that's pretty good. I think it's something that Kevin Owens has sometimes been trying to do, but not always because they don't really go all in on it. So it's good that Kingston found this, even though it's a little bit self-deprecating, but it's okay because he can sell it. He can really sell his self-hatred.
Ganun itsura niya eh. And he's older. Diba?
Yeah.
He's older than most of his peers. He's in his early 40s by now.
Siya nga senpai niya, ni Moxley.
The Moxley, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so also the this whole thing, I believe how the BCC were written in contrast, with regard to Eddie Kingston, it's the best argument for maybe we should do away with faces and heels. Maybe we should just paint people, some of them by their behavior, but also some of them by how they interact and how their relationships are with other people on the roster. So, it's very sports. Some people don't like the sports, don't like the realistic sports side of it. Because, they see pro wrestling as sports entertainment, but it's the sports that give you the entertainment.
I would just, I don't know, maybe you already mentioned this, but low-key, one of the best stories this year is Eddie Kingston overcoming the BCC, diba? He overcame Claudio nung...
Sana mentioned that.
That's it. And then, again, Eddie Kingston's style of wrestling isn't my cup of tea, but I really enjoyed the last couple of matches in the Continental Classic. Those two, against Bryan and Moxley. And it's not just because he's up against two of the best, but also because Eddie Kingston brought his A game. And I really enjoyed it. And I guess I found myself a bigger Eddie Kingston fan now than I was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are our picks of the week. Let us know what yours are. You know where to find us on Twitter and on TikTok. It is at Wrestling2XPod. Again, reminder, yung live stream natin will be on Friday night. This is how we do it. In 2024 kasi may Wrestle Kingdom tayo on Thursday. So if you want to be part of that watch party, go to our Discord, subscribe to our Patreon, and we will catch you on Friday, 7 p.m. when we break down the rest of the week in wrestling along with the events of Wrestle Kingdom 18. So I'm not going to be there, but Ro and Emil and Rowan will be. I will be at the PBA doing game experience hype man duties. So you guys will still be in good hands with Ro, Emil, and Rowan on Friday. In the meantime, thank you so much to Babyface producer Jasper and everyone over at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do behind the scenes. And thank you for continuing to support us in 2024. We can't wait to announce some of the stuff we have cooking, some immediate ones concerning the Royal Rumble and some as it relates to WrestleMania and our 10th anniversary. Yeah. So that's in about T-minus 3 months. So we're looking forward to season 10 of the Wrestling Podcast. Until then, we got to close the books on this episode. On behalf of Emil Nate and Romoran, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast out. Later, weirdos.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any